One of the main things I told my kids was you treat others the way you expect to be treated yourself. We've been brought up with certain values. I worked very hard at putting the same values into my kids. I remember the first thing I taught them when they were old enough to sit on a chair and have dinner was to pick up your plate. No one's going to do it, and it doesn't have legs, and it's not going to walk to the kitchen by itself. Age has nothing to do with the heroes in our industry. But for women, it's suddenly like, oh.
Hi, Shefali, welcome to the Quint.
Hi.
You know, you're someone who's always been an advocate for when it comes to equal treatment of women, right? You have 2 boys, okay? I genuinely really want to know from you, what is it that you tell them to ensure that they are not conditioned like other men that we have seen in our lives?
I remember the first thing I taught them when they were old enough to sit on a chair and have dinner was to pick up your plate. No one's going to do it, and it doesn't have legs, and it's not going to walk to the kitchen by itself. They left home at a very young age because they wanted to pursue football. And I remember one was 11 and one was 10. And I remember having this conversation with them, about be safe, not the right age to have sex. As you grow older, you're going to be exposed to a lot of stuff which is not real. If it's inappropriate content, if it's pornography, it's not real. It's all
absolutely
crap. To make sure that whenever you are at that age, use protection. And I was very honest about it.
We have to be.
I was very honest, and maybe it was a little early, but they were leaving, and I just wanted to make sure. And another thing I remember distinctly, so they were sitting and listening to me because they were still at that age. My last point was, and one more thing, bachas, if you ever hurt a woman, I will personally and physically kill you.
I love you.
I don't think they ever forgot that. They did not forget that. Also, I think the fact, what they see their father do.
That's very important.
It's very important.
Yes.
It's very, very important. And like I said, because they left very early, they became responsible enough to taking care of whether it's washing your dishes or taking care of your laundry. When they come back home, in fact, the grandparents are the ones that really spoil them rotten, and we have to remind the grandparents, don't pick up those socks, it's fine. Fine if the room is dirty. It's not your room, you're not going to live there. If they want to live like this, well, so be it.
Right. You know, Shefali, we live in a world today where the internet, the digital media is such an integral part of our lives. While there are multiple pros to it, there's also this continuous and this constant worry about the adverse effect of the internet, right? When your kids started using the digital media, did you kind of feel worried about it?
Absolutely. And every parent worries about it. So I was no exception to it. Also, when they were younger, it was easier to monitor and say, this is the screen time that you're allowed in a day. Of course, I can't do that now because they're 20 and 21. But having conversations, which is a huge part of parenting, and being honest. Because after a point of time, just saying, because I'm your mother and you do it, does not work. And you have to reason. Kids are great at arguing.
I agree.
So unless you don't give them a very valid, logical reasoning to it, they're not going to believe what you're saying.
But you know, even today, even though they're 20 and 21, the internet is still a space where, if not used correctly, it not necessarily is conducive to mental health. So how do you ensure that they are using it in a way that's not really affecting them mentally? Because I think that is the most important thing for kids today.
One of the main things I told my kids was you treat others the way you expect to be treated yourself. If you don't want to be insulted, you do not insult someone. You don't want to be bullied, you do not bully someone. At the same time, I said, don't take shit. Don't take nonsense. You know, one of the biggest fears with social media is they aspire to be someone. They aspire to what they see. I mean, everything is beautiful, the light is great, you're wearing great costumes and you have these amazing cars, but that's not realistic.
It's not.
You can't evaluate your life according to what somebody else has, because somebody else is always going to have something more. So all these conversations you have to have with them. You compare yourself with yourself. Your competition or your need to do well is for yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Because like I said, someone else is always going to have something more than you. Where do you stop? I mean, there are so many times, I would look at something and say, oh my God, how beautiful does XYZ look on a holiday? Well, I look like a rag doll. And the point is that I'm on a holiday. I'm going to be suntanned. I'm going to have mosquito bites. And my hair is not going to be blow dried. But it's real. So I'd written about this some time ago. So that is what real is. And it's very important for us to keep it real for them.
Absolutely.
And I have to give it to my parents and my husband's parents. We come from a middle class, my family, lower middle class background. So we've been brought up with certain values.
Right.
And I work very hard at putting the same values into my kids. I don't know whether it's going to be carried forward though. Because they do understand that they are privileged. Right. But I'm glad they do understand it.
I think I totally get what you're saying, because every time we meet and I see you, I see how rooted you are in spite of all the things that you've achieved, and that's why it's so refreshing, really.
Thank you.
Moving away from the kids, you've completed 30 years in the industry, so kudos to that. If I had to take you back right to the beginning and ask you some of the things that stand out from your journey from there till now, the great things and some things that you wish didn't happen.
Honestly, I don't remember much.
Okay.
It's not because of the memory of it, but it's because I move on.
Nice.
But I wish I was more focused. I wish I knew early enough that this is what I wanted to do, because everything just happened incidentally.
Right.
I incidentally did a play, and then someone saw me and offered a television show, and it just happened, and I kept doing it. I mean, like after a couple of years, I realized, I do this, I get paid for it, so maybe this is my job. But I wish I had the focus. I wish I had somebody to advise me in the right way and how to pursue it.
Right.
I have to say that I was protected and safe.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
I didn't have to deal with a lot of crap that a lot of girls have to.
Yeah.
But it's also because I didn't put myself out there and say, hey, I want work.
Right.
I barely met anyone. And that's how... I don't know if it answers your
Of course it does, of course it does. Just one last question. The industry has, of course, evolved a lot, especially when it comes to women. We see a lot of changes. If there was something still you thought that we wish the industry kind of inches towards the evolution and betterment of the women in the industry, what would that be?
I guess equal pay. Also, in a very big way, roles written for women not keeping age in mind.
Yes.
There is Meryl Streep, and there is Olivia Colman, and there is Helen Mirren.
All beautiful.
Amazing, and they're still doing amazing work.
Yeah, yeah.
Age has nothing to do with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And strangely, they have this rule for the men. Age has nothing to do with the heroes in our industry.
Absolutely.
For women, it's suddenly like, so I really hope they stop putting the shelf life for women.
Yeah.
Because we have so much to give at every age.
I'm sure we've come a long way from there, but still a long way to go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.